Hi, folks. Got an amazing guest here today. It's Bernie Fineman, and we're very honoured to have you, Bernie. We've also got my good mate, Brendan. And of course, Bernie is known for his association with the Krays. He knows everything there is to know about cars, so he's going to educate us today. So great to have you here, Bernie.
Thank you. I think the word more like educate rather than educate. And let me say one thing, even after 62 years on the workshop floor, there's still a million things I know. There's a million things I don't know.
Brendan knows everything about cars, so Brendan will do the car section. He knows you're an expert, aren't you, Brendan?
Yeah, I know how to make them not work.
And there's an honest man.
We were fascinated. We were looking at all the newspaper coverage of you and stuff, and all the stuff with the Krays. I know you've been asked about the Krays before, but everybody loves to talk about the Krays and all that.
There's no problem. One thing I can't bear is all the bullshit and all shit and glamorizing this and glamour. I've got no time for that crap. You know, I've heard it, you've heard it, you've seen it. And the funniest thing was ITV, in their wisdom, approached me when the Martin Kemp film came out of the Krays.
Right.
And they always try to put words into your mouth. But unfortunately with me, I'll say it as it is. He tried for 10 minutes to get me to say bad stuff, the sort of damning stuff that I saw and how bad were they. And I just said one thing to him. Let me tell you something. What they did to other people is one thing. What they did to me, they took me and my family out of poverty. They gave me a start in life. And I will only give them the respect they deserve. So if you were to put words in my mouth, and this is my exact words, stick your interview, mate, where the sun don't shine. And I walked out.
Good for you. Good for you. Because like you say, because you came from a sort of fairly poverty-stricken background, and they really raised up your level of living, didn't they, for the family?
Well, the point is, my father, God rest his soul, was an ex-REME, Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. He was an army man all his life. Tough boy, real tough, bare knuckle boxer, you know, and I loved him. He was my hero, and he still is. We had nothing though. He came out of the army, had to get himself a job as a docker, you know, on the barges and whatever. My mum all her life was a welder. She worked for Hanley Page and then after that the Havilands. But we had no money coming in. We lived on the 14th floor of Samuel Lewis Trust Flats in British Street in Bow. I mean, our flat was spotless. The rest, a lot of them were, well, you can imagine. There's no money, nothing. So to get an opportunity like I was given, it's like being given the crown jewels.
But Bernie, how did you get into being a mechanic? What was it that drew you into being?
Well, I wasn't going to be a freaking hairdresser, was I? Let's be frank about it. we lived near in Lower Clapton, a company called Springfield Court Garage. I used to walk past there every day going to school. And I loved the smell of diesel and fumes and whatever. So I took the Bulby horns and I've gone in there one day after school and said to the owner, look, any Saturday jobs going? Let's go and earn a few quid. What can you do? I said, well, I'm good with my hands. Never told him the truth, obviously. He said, can you make tea? I went, yeah. He says, right, go clean all the mugs up, make tea for all the mechanics. You want to see this kitchen? Fuck. You know what mechanics are like. Scrubbed all that, done all the cups, everything else, made them the tea, and they all said it's the best tea they've ever had.
There you go. Now, Bernie, a lot of the people who watch this are like true crime fans and this, that, and the other, so they want to get to the nitty gritty. Well, what was it like at that moment that you were just in a bar, weren't you? And then Ron and Reg came in. Well, what happened?
Well, I got introduced to them through a pal of mine, Jimmy Nunn. Jimmy had been doing some work for them. Jimmy, by the way, you can try and look him up, but you won't find him. Jimmy does change his name quite a bit. We're still friends now. I mean, we've been friends, 60 odd years. Anyway, she says, well, I want you to come to the beggar one night. Someone want you to meet. Went to the beggar. Two guys come over. I'd heard about the Krays. I'd never met. They said, this is my mate Bernie. He's an apprentice mechanic. He's only 19. He's good with his hands. He can keep his mouth shut. Give him a try. And the first thing that Reggie said to, oh, was it Ronnie? Have a drink. I went, but I don't drink. And he sort of looked at me and he said, have a drink. And I thought, I'll have a drink. So I had a drink and they started feeding me work, which was fantastic.
Well, did you like them? From the start? How were they as characters? What were they like?
They weren't massively tall. They were slimish, but obviously very solid built. And you could tell by the look, they were tough guys and they were boxers. You know, the sort of people you didn't mess around with, that commanded respect. But
Were you scared of them at the time, or did you just treat them with respect? How were you with them?
absolutely fine. I mean, I never saw the masses of the time. I'd done quite a bit of work for them. I was always paid handsomely, and the bill settled immediately. And Jimmy always used to weigh me in with a wedge, and it was always, I remember what he said, give him a pound note, like the old great big pound notes. And it was always buy your mum some flowers and buy your dad some tobacco. And it went on there. I got introduced to Barbara Windsor, Alan Lake, who was her then husband. So Dinah Dawes.
Yes.
And, Alan Lake, Ronnie Knight and Barbara Windsor. The funny thing was, when my missus and I moved into a flat in Hendon, Barbara and him used to live opposite in Hendon Hall Court. They used to come over to my flat for dinner, and she was always racking him. He was always getting pissed. They only had to walk over the road.
So was she as glamorous? Who was the most glamorous? Was Barbara glamorous or Dinah Dawes? Who was your favourite?
Dinah was lovely, but Barbara I absolutely adored. Her nickname used to be the Cockney Sparrow, and she was the most incredible lady. I mean, we were friends for quite some time.
Bern, what was Diana's nickname?
Dinah was gorgeous. I mean, she had the most lovely eyes.
She was a sexy girl, wasn't she, Diana Dawes?
Feisty, yeah, but old man knew how to keep her in check.
Yeah, she was like the British Marilyn Monroe of her day, wasn't she?
Diana, I think if you upset her, you would know about it. You didn't play with words. You didn't look at her like you was an old lech or whatever. You, as I said, those people with respect. And it just went on and on and on, getting more and more work. And I took my parents out of poverty. And that's something I'm bloody proud of. But I owe that purely for the start which I was given in life by the Krays and by the firm.
What kind of jobs did you have to do? I mean, were you having to, and what sort of motors did you have to deal with?
There were so many different cars. I mean, they're famous for getting about, believe it or not, with the old Bedford Dormobiles, with the sliding doors, standard Vanguards, the old MGs, like the Magnets, a couple of American cars. I didn't do any work on their Rolls Royce, just anything and everything. Hillman Minxes. But the sort of work I had to do mostly was general servicing, and you insured not once, but twice. If it needed 2 tyres, you put 4 on. If it needed a back box, you put a whole system on. If you done 1 brake light, you done 2. Now, it don't matter if you'd only done 50 miles since the last service. If it needed, you check the points, you didn't clean them, you changed them. The points, condensers, and the plugs. And you tune the carburetors not once, not twice, but after a run, the 3rd time. In fact, talking about that, my mate, Frankie Fraser, who I was introduced to, also again through Jimmy Nunn, wanted some work done on the car. And he said, look, I've got a job to do on Saturday. I want the car spot on. I don't want to get stopped. I don't want to have a bloody brake light out. He said, I want you to go over it top to toe. And let me tell you something. If it breaks down, you, my friend, will end up in a fucking box.
Good old Frank.
That was
we couldn't employ that on some mechanics today, Bern. I think that would definitely help out, you know.
Yeah, but I'd never met him before. But I'll tell you something, he frightened the shit out of me. he had this look in his eyes. You know, like the film Jaws, the shark. You know when it bites you, his eyes, are, and he looks at you, and I'll tell you something. It's enough to get rid of constipation.
Yeah, Bren, you were a big fan of Mad Frank, weren't you, Brendan?
It's like I met Mad Frank on half a dozen occasions, right? And I found him as an old rogue to be quite entertaining on a personal level, right?
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
if Dave fell out over saying, but you know, personally, I just think he was an old man who told a good story. I didn't believe half of it, but I think he was very entertaining, and I'm sure in his day he was a fiery little character.
Oh,
But you know, I don't believe half of what he said, to be honest.
well, it's an old saying. You take some stuff with a pinch of salt. You know, he was on the program Chop Shop.
Yes,
Right.
which is your program, Bern. Yeah.
Because we had I won't say any bad words. Martin Kemp, who didn't sort of really cut the mustard. So Discovery phoned our director and said, "Cut it. Can't do any more with him. There's no entertainment there." So then one of the directors said to me, "Hang on." He says, "You're out and about the East End all the time. Do you know any real gangsters?" I went, "Well, funny you should say that." I phoned Frankie, told him what the program was, we're building a gangster car, and how much would he cost. He said to me, "Well, you looked after me in the old days. Buy me a pint and a bit of lunch, and a beggar." He said, "We'll call it quits." And he was on the whole program. And bless him, he done fantastic until one part. And he said, "By the way, this was on camera. One of the cars I done a job with broke down." And he looked at me, went to me, "You didn't do that car, did you?" No fucking way, mate. And that was it. But there again, whatever he done, they were still very, very good to me.
Now, I was reading in that article, it said that you often used to find sort of various kind of weapons in the back of the cars. Is that right? Did they have like baseball bats? Well, what sort of things were in there?
You asking me to be a grass?
No, but I just know it's
I,
knowledge, Bern.
I've got, listen, I talk to a copper now, so it don't make any difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found stuff in the boot. We found a couple of machetes, baseball bats. We found one time when we towed a car in on the front of a standard Vanguard in the grill, a finger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were called out very early in the morning.
Yeah.
Collect a car that had gone into a post. So we towed it in, and I don't do bodywork, so I had to phone the bodywork guy. This was down the road garage.
Someone had done body work on that if there was a finger in it.
Yeah, yeah. So we found that in the car. But yeah, I mean, at one time, I'll say one thing, that they bought one of the cars in with a noise behind the dash, and we were checking everywhere, but the other mechanic couldn't find it, so we took the dash out, and behind the dash of banknotes all done up in like what's an elastic band? Looked like a thick elastic band.
Yeah.
So I think they planted it there for us to find, to see how honest we were. So we gave it back to them.
Yeah, but what was it like though when they got arrested and that work went for you? Was that a big difference for your lifestyle?
Well, I mean, all the work really that I got through them collapsed. In fact, the day that they got arrested, the other mechanics and myself also got arrested. We was doing the work then in Downs Road Garage, and they took the governor away and two of the other mechanics and me down at Stoke Newington Police Station. Wanted to know what we saw in the cars and this, that, and the other, and is anyone bribing us or threatening us? And of course, they said, "What did you find in the boot?" So a cocky little bastard me went, "Yeah, spare wheel." He whacked me straight round the head. And after half an hour, I got pissed off with me. Told me to f off.
You didn't want to point the finger after seeing that grill, did you?
Oh, no. Trust.
Hey,
That was very good. I think you get away with that one.
Bernard, so did you ever meet up Brendan's great mate Dave? Did you ever see him at all?
I hadn't. I think I've only ever met Dave at do's, at functions, a couple of functions, but seeing him socially, no.
So, because I'm surprised the two of you haven't met up.
Well, this is it. I mean, look, it's the same thing with Bobby Cummines. You know
Yes,
Bobby?
yes, yes.
Bobby and I are very, very good friends. We met up, God knows how many years ago. It must be 40 odd years ago. Never seen each other since. And yet we phone each other all the time.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? So
Why-
tell just more about Ron and Reg and what were they like as characters? I mean, did you ever have a laugh with them? I mean, did they have a sense of humour? Or was Ron as mad as he was supposed to be?
I've seen him get annoyed.
Yeah.
I've never ever mixed with them actually socially.
Mhm.
I was done as I was asked. In fact, one Friday night, I got a phone call from one of the minions, as I used to call them, to remove the bulbs out of the arch, Clubwell Street. So I got paid 10 bob for that. So I went and removed the bulbs.
So you moved on. How did you recover then? So losing that income, did you? What did you do with yourself?
Well, I'd been an apprentice at Thomas and Draper for many years, which was a Rolls Royce, Jaguar, and Bentley independent repairers. I'd done my apprenticeship and I was getting a name for myself. And I went to a Institute of the Motor Industry meeting and I got poached by Henleys to build their engines. And then I got very, very well known for building Jaguar engines, particularly the V12s in the E-types, because none of the mechanics wanted to touch them.
Mhm.
And from there, I moved on to Mercedes and then again at Jaguar and then at Ferrari. And I've been on the workshop floor, in fact, 62 years. And I'm
Ah,
still around.
so Brendan, Dave had quite a few cars, didn't he? He had a roller, didn't he? Is there any mechanical question? Because we have a mechanical genius on here that you want to ask about your roller, because you still got it, haven't you?
No, the roller was scrapped years ago. That was a very old roller, and please believe me, Dave drove that around like a tank. He didn't care.
How old was it?
It was a silver Wraith. It was the Lord Mayor of Rochester's car.
Really?
Yeah,
What year was it?
1978. It was.
That must have had then the compliance suspension.
It did.
Hey,
It did. It was like you could go round a corner at 100 mile an hour, and it just swayed. You know what I mean? It was lovely.
the biggest problem with the compliance suspension was the pipes were not wide enough for the amount of pressure. So, of course, the pumps used to overcharge them and the swage joints used to block.
Well, Dave didn't drive for the sort of last 17, 18 years of his life, which was probably a good thing for everyone else because when when I first met him, when I very first met him back in about 91, 92, he took me out one night up the West End in the roller and he said, "Oh, I'll park here." I said, "You won't get in there, Dave." He went, "No, I will." And I'm looking at it and I thought, there's no way you'll get that roller in. He went, "No, watch this. It's got like a parking space mechanism, this has." I went,
Yeah.
and what he done was he backed up to this like Mondeo or a Vauxhall and
Pushed it.
shoved it about 6 foot up the road and then just parked the roller. And he got out and he said, "Look, you can get in anywhere with these."
Well,
You can only do that on a roll.
well, loads of cars, Dave, though, didn't he, Brendan? What cars did he have then?
He's had rollers, he's had Mercs, he's had Shoguns, he had all sorts. Do you know what I mean? He had loads of different cars, Dave. He used to love an old American car when he worked on the bases up in where did they do that? Greenham Common. Do you remember that? He worked up there on security, and he used to buy the American cars off the soldiers or the RAF geezers that would bring their cars over and didn't want to bring them home, and he'd get really cheap cars off them.
You know, the funny thing is where the Krays and their guys used to buy all their cars all came from one place, and it's still there in Lower Clapton. It's like a small car site. And I was there about 3 months ago, not the same staff, but the same place that's still there, still selling those bags of old shit. I mean, like a small caravan, a geezer who you really wouldn't even want to talk to, and cars that like they've been through Death Valley and back, and yet people still buy them. And that is where they used to get all their cars from.
That is amazing.
I remember Dave had a Merc once, right, Liam? He had a 190 Merc. He bought it off this guy in Thamesmead who had the car from noon on and loved it. He was an old guy and he was actually dying, and he sold it to Dave at a really cheap price. But Dave just hammered it. You know, he was terrible, Dave. He never checked the oil, never checked the water, and he would just drive it until it blew up, right? And it blew up on the M25, yeah. He just wrote "for sale," put it in the window, and left it on the hard shoulder.
What's the car you've got, Brendan? What is the car? Is it a Jag you've got?
I've got a Jag XJL, yeah.
Right, and it's had problems, hasn't it? This is the man to.
I've had terrible problems, but at the moment it looks like I've got the low side turbo gone on it, so I'm just getting that done at the minute.
Wait till you start getting door lock problems and ECU problems.
Yeah, no, touch wood, we haven't had any of that yet, I'm hoping.
Oh, you're in early days then?
I had a DPF clean on it and they blew the engine up because they didn't put the stuff in the right...
You've been taking the car to Bodget and Leggett?
No, that was a company off the internet. They come out and they actually hydraulic the engine. So, and it was...
What the hell can they do that?
Yeah, I'd had it serviced every 10,000 miles, that car. I had all the service history, and they've ended up, it had 170,000 on it, and they blew it up. So
I've only one way to properly clean the DPF.
Yeah, they didn't
No, we move it, blank one end, and fill it up with full fat Coca-Cola.
Right.
That is what Jaguar would do, and leave it overnight.
Really?
Wash it out, it's like brand new.
Oh, wow.
If they'd done that to yours, they couldn't have been a very good firm.
No, apparently they were blowing people's cars up every week. When we checked them out, they'd done about 30 or 40 cars. They'd blown them up.
Holy.
And because they had insurance, they just handed you over to the insurance company.
So, Bernie, we've got about 10 more minutes. Tell us about your TV career. How did you suddenly become like this TV star doing all these series? What was it? Bangla Bangers, Chop Shop, London Garage. How did you get into all of that?
You've forgotten Classic Car Rescue.
That's it, Classic Car.
The Squimpers. You've forgotten Young Mechanic of the Year. You've forgotten Fiddlers, Cheats and Scams. No, but I didn't really want to mention a few. Well, let's put it like this. It weren't my good looks. Thanks for that, Brendan. Cheers, pal. We're speaking another 40 years. I got a phone call one day at the garage from a geezer from Discovery or Raw Television. So I want to speak to Bernie Fineman. I thought it was one of my mates bugging away. I went, yeah, bung the phone down. Goes again. He said, please, I'm from so-and-so company. Need to speak to you about a TV program. And my words were, fuck off, put the phone down. Eventually, the third time, he convinced me to call him back, which I did. So they said, will you be in the garage later on today? We'd like to send a crew around just for a short interview. I've never done this before, so they turned up, done a small interview, and within about 4 or 5 days, they offered me a contract. They found this lunatic called Lipu in Bangladesh who builds cars, apparently by hand, never does any mechanical work. So they needed a mechanic with an attitude. And the reason why they chose me is years ago, I used to do work for one of the TV companies just on answers and questions about cars. They thought I'd had an attitude. So within 3 weeks, I'd done a contract, got the missus blessing, and I'm off to Bangladesh.
Did you enjoy doing the TV stuff, or were you a bit out of water? How were you?
Wouldn't you?
I don't know. Some people,
from an ordinary mechanic to a status like that where you're on television, not just for me, but something I can hand down to my grandkids, was the most incredible thing I'd ever done. So in total, I've actually done 44 programs. But you can see I'm camera shy.
Doing them, Bernie? You're still doing them?
No, I've done a lot of interviews. I've got a couple of things which I want to get involved in. Mm-hmm. But I've approached one TV company. They said, we love it, but we can only buy it as an acquisition. In other
Yes.
words, you do the whole lot, edit it, everything else, and we put it on air. Well, that is out of my league. I don't know any of that shit. Put me in front of a car or a camera and tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
We've spent 2 years building a canal boat, Bern, so Liam's going to be putting that up soon.
What was the car that we filmed recently? For that the TV thing for Canada. What was the car?
What not the Lamborghini?
Yes.
Was it a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
It was a Lamborghini that Simon done, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know anything about Lamborghinis? We did a sort of a program on it.
I've got a pretty fair knowledge of particularly the older ones, not so much the newer ones.
This was I think it was a 1990, was it, Liam, or 91,
Yeah.
92? It was owned, its first owner was Rod Stewart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it was driven by Nicky Lauda out in America. No, not Nicky Lauda. Mario Andretti used to drive it.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, but yeah, our friend Simon rebuilt it.
And he was a mechanic, but he ended up in a canal, didn't he? Or where did he end up? I don't say that nastily.
He ended up swimming with the fishes.
No way. Well, at least you weren't taken to the pig farm.
Absolutely. And of course, you've got books out as well, Bernie, haven't you? You've done books before, but you've got a more recent one as well.
The more recent one is the one that's very, very close to my heart. It's called Cars, Krays, and Cancer. And it shows everything I've been through from virtually the day I was born right up to all the health problems which I had. And thank God I've managed to get over. Let's put it like this. The publisher, which are normally non-committal, said it made her cry. And
Really?
believe it or not, my ebook on Amazon Kindle went to #1 in the second day it was out of new biographies. So am I proud? You bet your arse.
Yeah. So people can get it on Kindle and all that, and you have had the, not to bring it down, but you have had the cancer, but you've beaten it, what, 3 times now, is it?
Well, I've got it again, unfortunately.
Yes, I did hear.
I was diagnosed a couple of weeks ago. I've got basal cell on the leg, and now they found it on my face as well. So, nah, never mind. Look, if that's the best as the old great mechanic in the sky could throw at me, you'll have a fucking long wait for me to get up there, mate.
Because you've beaten it off before, Bernie, haven't you? So you've done great. So you can do this again.
But I've only got one lung, so I had my lung taken out. Then I got prostate cancer. So yeah, I'm having fun. I've had all the bleeding good stuff. I've had my money's worth at the NHS.
Good. Anything else you want to ask, Brendan, to our great man Bernie?
No, it's been interesting to listen to you, Bern, and I'm sure you're going to do well on your show. I wish you all the best with your health conditions. You don't look like you're going anywhere, mate. You don't look like you're going anywhere. You're stuck here. You're stuck here. Don't worry.
My missus wouldn't let me go anywhere else.
Yeah, so
if I kick the bucket, knowing her, she'd dig me up and give me a kicking. They can go anywhere.
Well, you're not going to kick the bucket, but if you do, you're going to have an amazing car that's going to take you on your journey. What's your favourite car?
No, I'll be in a bleak wooden box same as anyone else. My favourite car, I love BMs. I've always loved BMs.
Right.
And yes, I've got a BM, and it's done 198,000 miles, but it runs like a dream. It's been slightly breathed on, so it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. But no, I never let Leepu get his fucking hands on it.
What was your favourite old British car from back in the 70s and that?
There's only one, which is the Sunbeam Alpine and Sunbeam Tiger.
Right.
Loved them. And also the Humber Super Snipe and the Wolseley 6110.
My dad was a big Ford man, Bernie. He had the Zephyr, the executive, the console, the Cortina. It was mostly Fords we had growing up as kids.
Well, Fords made good cars in those days. What they make now is ship boxes.
It is.
Designed by computer and driven by morons.
Right, we're under a minute. So, look, Bernie, we wish you great success with the book. You can get the book on Kindle. It's been a great pleasure to have you on. Do you want to thank him, Brendan?
Thanks a lot, Bernie. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you all the best with the show.
Thanks, and to you, Brendan.
All right, take care,
Right,
mate.
and I'm really, really sorry to hear about Dave. God rest his soul.
No, he's in a good place. Don't worry about Dave. He's cool.
Right, fantastic. So it may click off, Bernie. It's not us being rude. It'll just run out of time. But really, thanks very much for giving us the time. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll send you the bill.